So we are taking a few question and answer in computer science. First is, what is software architecture? And this is closely asked with the software design. What is the difference between software architecture and design? So let me tell you what is software architecture. The software architecture of a program or a computing system is the structure or structures of the system which comprise software components and the externally visible properties of those components and the relationship between them. So software architecture, if I can give you example like MVC, model view controller is the software architecture. Clients or say N-tier architecture is an example of architecture. So the components, how they are structured and what is the relationship between these components is the software architecture. And this software architecture is the basic building block where you can actually start designing your software or the program. So what is software design? Software design is a process of problem solving and planning for a software solution. So what happens here is you are in problem domain. Now you want to get to the solution domain. How are you going to go to the solution domain? To go to the solution domain, you do the software design. So you have a problem in hand and you want to solve it. So software design is the process of problem solving and planning of a software solution. And after the purpose and specification of the software are in front of you or they are determined, the software developers will design and employ designers to develop a plan for a solution. So it includes the low level component and the algorithm implementation. That is you can make a high level design, then the low level design. This is high level design. So these are the implementation issues as well as the architecture view, because software design includes the architecture design, the data design. All these are included in the software design. Next question is, what is web application? What is web application? In computing, web application, or in short we can call it as web app, it is a client-server software application which the client or user interface runs in a web browser. So if you have a client which is a web browser, it can be your Chrome, it can be your Mozilla. So this kind of application, basically web application does some work, some problem is solved here. So why we need web application? Because web application is an application that uses a web browser as a client, as I just indicated. Web applications are popular due to the ubiquity or availability everywhere of the web browser and the convenience of using web browser as a client to update and to maintain a web application without distributing and installing software on potentially each and every client's computer, which is the key reason for their web application, for their popularity. And of course, its inherent support for the cross-platform compatibility also. What is open source software? OSS. These are computer software with its source code made available with a license in which the copyright holder provides the right to study, change, distribute the software to anyone and for any purpose. These licenses are, I'll give you some example: BSD, Berkeley software distribution. The most popular is your GPL, GPL license, this is General Public License, GNU Public License, then the LGPL, that is lesser GPL. Next question is, why and what is MySQL? First of all, what is MySQL? Why we are talking about MySQL? Because it is the second topmost used these database management system, and because it is open source and free. So the developers, Oracle Corporation, written in C++, the type is RDBMS, that is the Relational Database Management System. The license is under GPL, as I just indicated what GPL is. So MySQL is an open source relational database management system, RDBMS, and it's the world second most widely used RDBMS and most widely used open source client server model, RDBMS. SQL stands for the structured query language, and this MySQL development, actually it was MySQL AB. It was previously MySQL AB. So MySQL development project has made its source code available under the GNU General Public License as well as under variety of proprietary agreements also. Why MySQL is so popular? This is popular because They are used, or MySQL is used in web application, and it is a central component in the widely used LAMP, WAMP, XAMPP, this open source web application software stack, where this LAMP, see, L is for Linux, A for Apache, M for your MySQL, and P for your Perl, PHP, or Python, and this WAMP for Windows. So N is common, MySQL, so free software open source project that require a full-featured database management system. They often use the MySQL. Who uses MySQL then? Application that uses MySQL, see the database, they include variety, the number of application type of 3, ModX, Joomla, WordPress, PHP, BB, MyBB, Drupal. So MySQL is also used in many high-profile, large-scale websites, including the Google and Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, and YouTube. Next is, what is HTML5? HTML5 is the latest version of HTML. You can regard it as the next version of HTML4. So it is a markup language used for the structuring and presenting content on the World Wide Web. This is the fifth and the current version of the HTML standard. So why HTML5? What is the difference of HTML5 with HTML4? HTML5 this was developed to solve compatibility problems that affect the current version or the previous version HTML4. The biggest difference between HTML5 and previous version is, HTML4 required some plugins, always some plugins like Flash, etc., and APIs. So in this HTML5, it has inbuilt canvas, inbuilt video you can show, audio you can show, and the structure, you need to use a lot of divisions here. And in this case, HTML5, just you have footer, header, and the body. So why HTML5? Because HTML provides a common interface to make loading elements easier. For example, there is no need for, say, some Flash plugin in HTML5 because the element will run by itself. It has its own support, inbuilt support. The design goal of HTML5 was to support multimedia and on mobile services also. So new syntactic features have been introduced to support this, such as video, audio, canvas tags. PHP. Let us see some history first. PHP is a server-side scripting language designed for web development, but also used as a general-purpose programming language because it closely resembles C language. You will find almost all constructs you find in C. So it was originally created by Rasmus Ledov in 1994. The PHP reference implementation is now produced by PHP Grow. Previously, it was Pearson homepage, but now this PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. So what is PHP? The recursive acronym for PHP, Hypertext Preprocessor. It is a widely used open source general purpose scripting language that is specially suited for web development and can be embedded into HTML. What are the PHP key points? Hypertext Preprocessor, widely used open source scripting language, server-side scripting language. PHP scripts are executed on the server and PHP is free to download and use. CSS, what is CSS? Cascading style sheets. So these are the style sheet language used for describing the presentation of a document written in markup language. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is a cross-platform, means it will work on various platforms. Object-oriented scripting language. Let me tell you, this is not object-oriented, it is object-based. To be just correcting it. So it is small and lightweight language inside a host environment, for example, a web browser. JavaScript can be connected to the objects of its environment to provide the programmatic control over them. A scripting language developed by Netscape to enable web authors to design interactive sites. Although it shares many of the features and structure of the Java language, it was developed independently. So there is no relationship between Java and JavaScript. So JavaScript can interact with HTML source code, enabling your web authors to spice up their sites with dynamic content. JavaScript is endorsed by a number of software companies and it is an open language that anyone can use without purchasing a license. It is supported by recent browser, various browsers that you use. What is a web server? Web server is that program that uses HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, to serve the files that form the web pages to users in response to their requests, which are forwarded by their computers. HTTP clients, so dedicated computers and appliances, may be referred to as the web servers as well. Next is what is cohesion and coupling. The difference, cohesion and coupling. Cohesion is the measure that defines the degree of interdependability within the elements of a module. The greater the cohesion, the better the program design. Cohesion is a qualitative indication of the degree to which module focuses on just one thing which it is desired to do. Cohesion is an indication of the relative function strength of a module. Cohesion is the single-mindedness of a component. Cohesion implies that a component or class encapsulates only attributes in operation that are closely related to one another and to the class or component itself. Then what is coupling? Coupling is a measure that defines the level of interdependability among the modules. So it tells us what level of module interface and interaction they have with each other. So the lower the coupling, the better the program. So coupling is a quantitative indication of the degree to which a module is connected to other modules and the outside world. Also, it is an indication of relative interdependence among the modules. So coupling is an indication of interconnection among modules in a software structure. It is a quantitative measure of the degree to which classes are connected to one another. So as classes or the components become more interdependent, coupling would increase. An important objective of component level design is to keep coupling as low as possible. What is verification and validation? What is the difference? Verification refers to the set of tasks to ensure that the software correctly implements a specific function. That means, are we building the product right? Validation, on the other hand, refers to the different set of tasks that ensure that software that has been built is traceable to the customer requirement. That is, are we building the right product which is actually required? Next question is, what is ISO 9000? Now, let me tell you before we go ahead for ISO 9000. We have ISO 9003, which are the guidelines which speaks on, which tells you, which guides you how you can apply ISO 9000, ISO 9001 to your software systems. The latest is ISO 9001 2015. This is the latest one. So we'll talk about ISO 9000. So ISO 9000 is a set of international standards on quality management and the quality assurance developed to help companies effectively document the quality systems element to be implemented to maintain the efficient quality system. So they are not specific to any industry, and they are very generic, so they can be applied to organization of any size. These ISO 9000, they are a series of standards developed and published by the ISO, International Standardization or International Organization of Standardization. First O comes first. So International Organization of Standardization that define, establish and maintain an effective quality system for manufacturing and service industry. And as I said, the latest is ISO 9001 2015. Previously it was ISO 9001 2008. There are a variety of changes. That is why I am trying to highlight 2015. The ISO 9000 standard is the most widely known and has perhaps had the most impact of the 13,000 standard published by the ISO. So it serves many different industries and organizations as a guide to quality products, service and management. So it talks about the quality in terms of process following the quality attributes. It doesn't tell you that how to make a quality product, or it doesn't ensure that you'll have a quality product. So these are the standards in the ISO 9001 2015. These are the set of requirements for quality management system, QMS. The 9000 2015, it covers the basic concepts and language. ISO 9004 2009, it focuses on how to make quality management system and more effective and efficient. ISO 19011 2011, these sets out guidance on internal and external audits of the quality management systems. So what are web services? Web services provide a standard means of interoperating between software applications, say SA1, SA2. So it is a standard mean of interoperating between these software applications running in a variety of platforms, say platform 1, platform 2, and framework 1, framework 2. And web services are characterized by their great interoperability and extensibility, as well as their machine processable description, which is actually because of XML, because they are XML based. What is reliability? Reliability. It is the probability that a system will produce correct outputs up to some given time t in a given environment. It is given by e to the power minus t by mtbf. So t is the time, mtbf is the mean time between failure. What is availability? It means the probability that the system is operational at a given time. The probability that a system is operational at a given time, so that is the amount of time a device is actually operating as a percentage of total time it should be operating. So availability of the module is the percentage of the time when the system is actually operational. Availability of a hardware software module can be obtained by this formula, MTBF by MTBF plus MTTR. That is MTBF, mean time between failure, to mean time between failure plus mean time to repair. This is availability. Then what about the IEEE documentation mentioned software IEEE documentation numbers? So first we start with SRS. SRS is 830. After SRS, what we are going to make? Let us do the software quality assurance 730. Then what we can do? Software configuration management 828. Then we have the software test documentation 829. Then wedge verification validation 1012. Software design description 1016. This is very important. Software project management IEEE 1058. Software user documentation 1063. So these are all the numbers, you must learn it. UML diagrams. UACSC TCSD. UACSC TCSD. What it means? It means the use case diagram, the activity diagram, the class diagram, the sequence diagram, the communication diagram, the timing diagram, the component diagram, the state time diagram, and the deployment diagram. So UACSC TCSD. You can learn by this. These are the UML diagrams. What is polymorphism? Polymorphism refers to the programming language ability to process objects differently depending upon their data type or class. So polymorphism provides you with an interface where you can use the similar name for various functionality. Next is, what is capability maturity model integration, CMMI? So CMMI is a process improvement training and appraisal program. Please understand that CMMI is not a certification as against to ISO. ISO is a compliance standard. So it gives you the certification that you are ISO 9001:2015 certified. CMMI on the other hand is a process improvement training and appraisal program. So you can get the appraisal from, you can be appraised for certain levels. So this is a process improvement training and appraisal program and service administered and marketed by CMU, Carnegie Mellon University. CMU claims CMI can be used to guide process improvement across a project, division, or the entire organization. So currently supported is CMI version 1.3. These are different levels. You can learn it by IMDQO. I is for initial, M for managed, D is for defined, Q for qualitatively managed, and O for optimizing. So initial means the processes are unpredictable, chaotic, poorly controlled, and reactive. Managed means processes are characterized for projects and they are often reactive. All things are there but only for the projects. The defined means the processes characterized for the organization. So here it was for project, here it is for complete organization. So processes characterized for the organization, it is proactive. So projects tailor their process from the organization standards. And the description here is more defined here. Quantitatively management or managed is processes measured and controlled by statistical and various other techniques. And optimizing means now the processes are improved using statistics, so they are further improved, optimized with respect to efficiency, performance, etc. Next is, what is SRS document? The SRS, Software Requirement Specification. It is a description of software system to be developed. So it lays out the functional and non-functional requirement and may include a set of use cases that describe user interaction that the software must provide. Use case as we have seen in UML. What is software design description? Software design description, also known as software design document or SDD. It is a written description of a software product that a software designer writes in order to give a software development team overall guidance to the architecture of the software product project. So this SDD usually accompanies architecture diagram and the pointers to detailed features, specification of smaller pieces of the design. What is quality manual? Quality manual. The quality manual requires documentation of the organization quality policy, which is the position that the organization takes in regards to the quality. So it also requires specific and measurable quality objectives and the documents such as standard operating procedure for various functional areas. Next is, what is hardware software testing? So system testing of software is the hardware, system testing of a hardware or software is testing conducted on a complete integration of the system to evaluate the system compliance with its specified requirements. So if you have hardware or a software or a complete system, you combine them and then you do the final testing, that is the system testing. The system testing falls within the scope of black box testing and as such should require no knowledge of the inner design of the code or logic. What is user manual? A user guide or user manual is known as the user manual. It is a technical communication document intended to give assistance to the people using a particular system that you have developed. What is soft computing? Soft computing is an emerging collection of methodologies which aim to exploit tolerance for imprecision, uncertainty, partial truth to achieve reverseness, predictability, and total low cost. For example, fuzzy neural networks, and we have fuzzy neural, and also genetic algorithms are there. So there are so many. They comes under the soft computing. Next is difference between bitrate and baud rate. The differences between bitrate and baud rate. Bitrate is measured as the number of data bits transmitted per second in a communication channel. Baud rate is measured the number of times a signal state is changed in a communication channel. So bitrate is a measure of the number of data bits, that is zeros and ones transmitted in 1 second. A figure of say 2400 bits per second means 2400 zeros and ones can be transmitted in 1 second. That is why bit per second. While the baud rate definition means the number of times a signal in a communication channel changes state. What is RS-232? This is serial port. So a serial port is an interface that allows PC to transmit or receive data 1 bit at a time. 1 bit at a time. So RS-232 is a standard for serial communication transmission of data. The standard defines the electrical characteristics and timing of signal, the meaning of signal, the physical size, the pinout connector, and it is 20 kbps for 15 meter. What is bit rate? Bit rate, also known as bit rate or variable R, is the number of bits that are conveyed or processed per unit of time, the speed with which the data can be transferred from one device to another. Bit rate. What is graphics rendering? Graphics rendering. Rendering is the process of generating an image from a 2D or 3D model by means of computer programs. Also, the results of such model is called rendering. So 3D to 2D also conversion in the computer graphics is graphics rendering. What is 3D rendering? 3D rendering is the 3D computer graphics process of automatically converting 3D wireframe model into 2D images, into 3D photorealistic effects or non-photorealistic rendering on a computer. What is image rendering then? Rendering is the process of generating an image from 2D or 3D model, as we just suggested, or models in which collectively could be called as a scene file by means of computer programs. Also the results of such a model is called the rendering. So in a 3D graphic design, rendering is the process of adding shading, color, and animation to a 2D, 3D wireframe in order to create lifelike images on a screen. So shading, color, animation. So rendering may be done ahead of time, that is pre-rendering, or it can be done on the fly in real time. So real-time rendering is often used for 3D video games, which requires high level of interactivity with the player. And pre-rendering, which is somewhat CPU intensive but can be used to create more realistic images, is typically used for movie creation. So these are a few questions we have taken from computer science. Thank you so much. Take care.